All right, welcome into your Michael Jordan 1995-96 season breakdown. This season is often forgotten because it's sort of a redemption season for Michael. He was coming off of his almost 2-year absence from basketball when he played baseball, minor league baseball. And he was coming back from that, and he ended up losing in the 95 playoffs from the 94-95 season. So this season was really a comeback season. Can he do what he used to do? The media painted it like that. But I really enjoy doing this stuff. I like breaking down the facts when it comes to the true GOAT, Michael Jordan. I grew up an MJ fan. I really grew up a Kobe fan because he was more my generation. I remember when he scored 81 points. I also grew up watching the old VHS tapes of MJ and all of his documentaries, and I just was completely in awe of his competitive fire, the way he just willed his team to win. He didn't care who he was playing with. He didn't whine about not having help. He said, give me the teammates, I'm going to win. And that attitude is what is so inspiring. You know, I haven't watched the NBA in a few months. It's just hard. It really is unwatchable today because I got to sit there and watch guys like LeBron James. Okay, this guy, every time a Gen Z idiot likes to message me and claim, oh, he's better than Michael because of this stat, or because he does more Make-A-Wish than Michael. So like I lose more brain cells when I hear that stuff just by listening to these people try their best to make their idol, LeBron, better than a factual and methodical and competitive killer / winner, Michael Jordan. So whenever I see that, I'm like, man, screw this crap. I'm not even going to give it the time of day. You're not changing my opinion. Just go watch the footage. I'm not going to try to change your opinion if you like LeBron. If you like him, great. If he's your guy, watch him. Enjoy him. I'm a guy who's been, quite frankly, tired of him for the past, I'd say, 5 to 10 years since he started jumping teams again on the Lakers, and then he started trying to recruit everybody in the league. I can't stand that crap. So to see people defending this guy like he's the best that there ever played, and we have to respect him and like him because he does all these Make-A-Wish, he does his charities, like I always say in my other videos. I've heard that excuse a million times. Come on, Freeman, you're just so hard on LeBron. Why are you so insensitive? Don't you realize this guy's giving back to his community? He grew up in poverty. He grew up in the ghetto. All that bull crap, all right? We're not here to talk about that. That's the reality. We're here to talk about if he's better than MJ. More importantly, if he's better than Kobe, really. I got Kobe still above him. But I don't want to hear that anymore. The next person who tries to come at me with those sort of quote-unquote facts, I'm not going to respond. Okay? So just save your energy and your little fingers on your keyboard and just don't send me that stuff because I'm not responding to that crap. Michael Jordan is a guy who is secretly giving millions and millions of dollars to charity organizations every year. They don't talk about that. They like to talk about how LeBron is doing all this charitable work, which is great. All right, more power to the guy. I'm not faulting him because he chooses to do that. But for people to try to spin that and say, well, since he does that, he's better than Jordan. No. Don't be emotional here. We're talking about facts. Who's a winner? It ain't LeBron. So I haven't been keeping up with it the past few months. I know LeBron is in the playoffs. I've been talking with my friend who I'll have on here soon. He'll break this season down with me. He can break basketball down better than anyone I know, really. And we've had a lot of detailed conversations off the air about how LeBron is still overrated when it comes to winning, in my opinion. All these butthurt LeBron fans, they just can't stand that. They can't stand the truth. So with that out of the way, I'm going to try to go through each game of Michael Jordan's 95-96 season, and I'm going to try to break down each game where I show the footage, I show the highlights, and you all can watch it and take what you will from it. But I'm really going to highlight Jordan's competitive fire and the way he goes out there and takes the game over. Almost every game he does this. So I'm probably going to add some footage to this video after the short introduction video, and you all can watch that and sort of form your own opinion. That's what this podcast is all about, forming your opinions and kind of debating, and just a platform for people who love the old stuff. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to prove these LeBron kiss-ups wrong. The mainstream media loves to worship LeBron, and I love proving them wrong. So first thing I want to point out is a rule, a defensive rule that really stood out in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. So in 2004-ish, 2005, the NBA got rid of a rule called hand checking. Now, this rule is kind of forgotten because it was hidden. So it's kind of hard for me to explain it to you. So I'll try to use my hands here to give some sort of visual on this rule. But basically, it was a rule that made it harder for the ball carrier, the offensive ball carrier, to get to score easily. So let's say Michael Jordan, the defensive team scored, and Michael Jordan has the ball now. He was inbound the ball after the other team scored. So he's coming up the court, and he's got a guy guarding him, picking him up. Well, the first thing that guy did when hand checking was in effect is he would stick out either his right hand or his left hand, and he would follow the ball like this. Wherever the ball was, the defensive player would follow that ball wherever Michael had the ball going. And he would kind of have his hand near Michael's hip or the ball carrier's hip. I'm using Jordan as an example. And just imagine putting your hand near the ball carrier's hip and keeping it there as sort of an extra layer of, defensive strategy. And whatever direction the ball carrier moves, your hand is going to go with him automatically. So if I have the ball and you're guarding me and you got your hand near the ball like this, following it wherever I put the ball, your hand is following that. Whichever direction I go, right or left, you're automatically going to have your hand following my hip or following my arm as you try to keep up with me. And it's a really good strategy. It made it harder for the ball carrier to get around the defender. Nowadays, they don't have that. You have to keep your hands way out here. You cannot have your hands anywhere near the ball carrier's arm or anywhere. Back in the day, it was more physical. So you could have your hand near the arm. You could have it on the shoulder. When somebody posted up in the post, you could put your hand on their back while they were posting up with their back to you. You could put your hand on their back and make it harder for them to turn around or do a fadeaway. Can't do that anymore. But that's a rule that I loved because when I grew up playing basketball, my coach would always tell me to do that. He would always say, stick your hand out and make sure you follow the ball so you never lose the ball. As I was saying, keep your eye on the ball, but in this case, your hand. So just try to understand that. The ball carrier's coming down and he's getting ready to drive towards the basket. Well, you got your hand already near his hip. So as soon as he goes whichever direction he chooses, you're going to be right there with him. What made Michael Jordan great is he still overcame that and was able to get around these guys like the Detroit Pistons who beat him up worse than LeBron could ever imagine being abused in this generation. It's a joke when he complains about that. But Michael was beat up, spit on, thrown to the ground, injured. Those guys didn't give a crap about him. They were just trying to stop him from being a prolific scorer. And he figured out how to get around that. That's why he's the GOAT. All right, nothing's going to stop him. They failed. So that's hand checking in a nutshell. I could go deeper into it, but I don't want to make this video too long. That rule was in full effect in the 95-96 season. MJ, of course, figured out how to get around it. A lot of steals happened because of this hand-checking rule or hand-checking strategy. You also had Michael in his prime still. I think his prime ended a little bit after this season. But if you go back and watch all the games, he was still in his prime. He could still jump pretty high. He could still run pretty fast. He still moved laterally pretty good. His footwork was still good. He still looked like the late 80s, early 90s Michael. And I shared a few highlight videos before this, and I wanted to showcase that. So I'm going to go through now some of these stats. I'm going to do my best LeBron James nerd impression, and I'm going to go through some of these stats of the 95-96 season before we get to the footage. So when it comes to Michael Jordan, he averaged 30.4 points that season, 6.6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. When's the last time you heard LeBron average that many points a season? He averages, 26, 27 points most of his seasons. But I don't think he's ever had a season where he's averaged 30 or more. I think Jordan's the only guy to average over 30 points. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure. You would have to go back a long ways when they had different rules, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and guys like that, who they averaged a lot of points because the rules were different. They took more shot attempts. But in terms of modern-day basketball, Michael is really the only person I can think of who averaged more than 30 points a game almost all of his seasons. So that's another thing I love to, tell these LeBron James nerds. So that was what he averaged personally that season. When it comes to the team, the 1995-96 NBA champion Chicago Bulls, their coach was Phil Jackson, of course, who is a Hall of Fame coach. General manager was Jerry Krause. Owner was Jerry Reinsdorf. Those two names have a lot of controversy. The arena was the United Center. It was newly constructed, and I believe they still play there. They had a 72-10 record before the Golden State Warriors broke that. What was it, 2016, where they had 73 wins? This was the record, 72-10. They were first in their division, obviously, Eastern Conference. And now let's go through the roster. If I can pull it up here. So I'm just going to read off everyone's name on the team so I don't leave anybody out. The old school heads like myself, you'll recognize some of these names. So we got Randy Brown, Judd Buechler, Jason Caffey or Coffey, James Edwards, Jack Haley, Ron Harper, Steve Kerr. Of course, a lot of you know who that is nowadays. Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, Dickie Sampkins. You could tell he was a role player. And Bill Winnington. And, of course, Michael the GOAT Jordan, who was shooting guard. Tony Kukoc, power forward. Scottie Pippen, small forward. Dennis Rodman, power forward. Center, Bill Winnington. That was the starting lineup. The Indiana Pacers were came in second in the Eastern Conference with 52 wins and 30 losses. That reminds me of Reggie Miller's comment he made. He's just upset he lost to Jordan all those years, but we won't go into that. So with that being said, folks, I think that's all I need to sort of explain in this introductory video. Now you can watch the footage and take what you will from it, but like I said, I'll be back periodically to break down every game of this season with my friend. He and I will have some fun conversations about that. But for now, I will see y'all later.